All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to YMI305. My name is Ben Redmond, and I am the professor for this class. Thanks, first of all, for being a little bit flexible about how we get things started for this. I was double booked by Spring Arbor, so finishing up a class that I teach in Detroit on Thursday night. It was their final exam and final presentations at the same exact time as the first one for this, so that is the reason for the delay and a little bit of a hiccup. So you're going to get a link to this video that you're watching, and at the same time you should have gotten an email that clarifies any questions that you might have. I'd encourage you to watch this video all the way through, and I'm going to walk through the syllabus right now and explain any first assignments before we meet next time. And then at the end, after you've watched the video, if you still have any questions, go ahead and reach out to me, and I'll answer those for you as best I can. If you've never had me for class before, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I am one of the pastors at West Winds Community Church, and I kind of split my time between that and being the executive director of the Hub Teen Center here in Jackson. It's a 6-year-old nonprofit that helps at-risk kids find opportunities where they can be developed into their full potential. So it's kind of my passion project and something that I've had the opportunity to do and lead for the last few years. So in addition to those two things, working at the church and at the teen center, I teach here at Spring Arbor, and also run a small consulting company that helps young leaders reach their potential and develop themselves both personally and as leaders. So that's kind of my life. I've been married for 20 years to someone that's a lot better than I am. And I've got 2 kids, a daughter who's a senior in high school and a son who is in 10th grade. And as a matter of fact, I've just been spending the last 2 days with him in Detroit celebrating his 16th birthday. So we've been having a good time doing that. So you should have a copy of the syllabus. I will bring copies to class with me as well next week, but you should have one on Blackboard that you can grab. So it might be helpful to have that pulled up on your computer or printed out so that you can follow along here for what we're going to go over. Before I jump into that syllabus, let me just let you know that of all the classes I have the opportunity to teach, this is my favorite one. Because I believe really, really strongly that we have the best and most important story in the history of the world, in the story of Jesus coming here and rescuing us. That the good news of the gospel, the Christian story, is the greatest story ever told, truly. Now, the issue that we have is we don't put enough effort and energy into telling it well. So as the world continues to change and people continue to change in the way that they process information, in the way that they hear, we don't do a good job at keeping up with how we're telling this story. And I think a story that's as important as this one deserves absolutely our best effort in telling it in the right way. And I don't know if that's true anywhere more than it is with kids, with teenagers, which is the focus of this class. So we want to look at how we can speak to a generation that really hears with their eyes, a generation that kind of lives their lives heart first. How do we connect them to the power, the truth, and the hope that's found in the gospel message? So that's really what it is that we want to dive into in this class. So the textbooks for the class, you should see all 3 of those on there. If you've had any trouble getting those, just let me know. But we'll be using Speaking to Teenagers by Fields and Robbins, Communicating for a Change by Andy Stanley, and also I think Lane Jones contributed to that. And then Zach Eswine's book, Preaching in a Post-Everything World. Again, if you have any trouble getting those books, don't hesitate to reach out to me and let me know. All 3 of these books are they're all a little bit different, but the first 2, Speaking to Teens and Communicating for a Change, very, very practical, very easy to read. Preaching in a Post-Everything World is a little more heady, a little more academic, but one out of 3 isn't too much for that. So you can see in the course description and the objectives what exactly it is that we're trying to do. So I will let you look those over on your own. As far as class expectations and information, here's the deal with that. Attendance for the class is mandatory, and the reason for that is because this is a speaking class primarily. So once we get into the semester, everyone's going to be speaking multiple times, and it's very, very hard to reschedule those speeches. So once you figure out which day your group is going, it's important that you're there. And then on the days that your group isn't going, we really need an audience in order for the speaking opportunities to go well. So you can see in there the requirements for attendance, what happens if you miss, and how that works. The other thing there is the class only meets once a week. So just remember that missing one of these classes for a 3-credit class is the equivalent of missing, 2 or 3 classes. So as far as participation goes, what I really mean by participation is just when you're in class and when you're there, show up, do your best to be engaged and participate in what's going on. That doesn't mean you have to answer every question or that you have to be, in the best mood you've ever been in every day. It just means when you're here, be a part of what it is that we're doing. As far as the deadlines are firm for assignments. I don't accept late work, so you don't need to bother asking about that. But if you have a question about a deadline or something isn't clear, please reach out to me and let me know. Again, be honest. Have a great attitude. That's something that's completely your responsibility. My promise is that I will bring the best that I have, energy and everything else to class every time we meet, and I just ask that you do the same. So let's have a great attitude together, and we're going to have a good time with this. As far as classroom etiquette goes, because this is a speaking class, and speaking is difficult and challenging, we'll talk about that a little more next week, but because that's the case, I really would encourage you to look out for each other when that speaking's going on. So don't be on your computer and on your phone when someone else is trying to present. Be engaged and give them good feedback so we can all learn together. Then there's a little word about excellence. As far as meeting with me, I don't have regular office hours on campus, but I am available. Send me an email. And if you want to get together to discuss class or life or ministry, all you have to do is ask, and I will make that work. Because our class only meets once a week, normally you can expect grades to be processed and returned back to you within a week of when you've submitted something. Just remember that checking your grades and monitoring them through Blackboard, that's your responsibility. So if you have a question about that, then jump on and ask me. Also, some information there about Spring Arbor's service to students with disabilities, so that's important if that has any effect on you. And then the last couple things before we jump into the assignments. Just a word on procrastination. I know a lot of people who say that they do their best work at the last minute. My argument against that would be it's probably that you do your only work at the last minute. So if that's you, then it might be worth trying to work a little bit ahead. And for this class in particular, preaching good sermons, they have to marinate for a little bit. You can't do your best work throwing it together at the last minute and not sitting with it, praying about it, letting other people speak into it. So I'd really encourage you with this class to work ahead as much as you can. Also, because the class only meets one night a week, the rhythm of it is a little bit different. So if you save everything till Wednesday, you're probably going to find that you're a bit overwhelmed because there's more work each time we meet than there would be for a class that's meeting multiple times a week. All right, so let's take a look at the class assignments on here and talk about those. The first assignment that you have is the speaker review. This assignment is going to happen 10 times. So for the next 10 weeks, this is also the first assignment that you have to do by next Thursday. I think one of the best ways that we have to improve as communicators outside of just practice is by listening to other communicators that are good. So what we're going to do with this assignment is you're going to listen to and evaluate messages that are being delivered. Now, you can get these messages from a podcast, you can get them from your home church, you can get them from the chapel You can watch a video somewhere. The only requirements for this is just don't review the same speaker multiple times. Like, just don't pick your favorite one and listen to them over and over again. Let's get some variety. And they also have to be full sermons. So not like a TED Talk or a YouTube clip or one of those, like a sermon lyrical mashup jam kind of video. None of those kind of things. Now, here's the other important thing about this. What you're reviewing is not content. Instead, you're reviewing mechanics. So what I mean by that is I don't care in this instance if they made a really good point. So I don't need you to tell me about how loving they are, how much their sermon was about love, or how great the point they made was about God's grace, for example. Instead, what I'm looking for is what made them effective. So how did they start their sermon? How did they end it? What kind of humor did they use? Did they slow down their voice and vary it at certain times? What were the things that made them a good speaker and helped them connect to you? And this is a little weird sometimes because people are used to evaluating things based on their content. But what we're really looking for here is mechanics. So if on the first one, you don't do this exactly the way I want you to, I'll give you some feedback and give you a chance to make that improvement for the second one. But then by the second one, well, we want to make sure that we're doing these the right way. So that's what's going on there. And attached at the end of the syllabus is a template that you can use for this assignment. And this is a one-page deal, one page, single spaced. We're not looking for anything super complicated here. That we're just looking for your thoughts about the mechanics and the style of the speaker and what you liked and didn't like. And that would be another thing, is don't be afraid to talk about what you don't like about it either. I mean, it's okay if there's a speaker that you don't really like, and it's fine to point that out. Sometimes the way we best understand our own style of speaking is by understanding what we don't like about other speakers. So that is what is going on there. So speaker reviews are kind of the first pillar of the assignment you have to do. The second thing is the reading reviews. Now, reading reviews are the primary ways that we're going to interact with the three books that we read. You're not going to have tests over those books. You're not going to have quizzes that you have to take or any of that kind of stuff. I'm not interested in you recalling things. I'm interested in you processing the things you're learning from the book. So you're going to have one reading review for each book, and it's going to be 2 pages, single-spaced, and it's going to answer 2 questions. I'm making this really, really simple, but because the paper is only 2 pages, it's going to force you it's really going to force you to evaluate and discern and prioritize which information you want to give me. So on the first page, I just want the big ideas. So in 1 page, tell me 3 big ideas that you took away from the book. The key here is I want you to be specific. Don't say, hey, it was a really nice book. That's not a great answer. What we're looking for here is a really specific, concrete, here are 3 ideas or concepts that I took away from this book and why I think they're important. And then on the second page, I just want you to connect the dots to your own life, to your own ministry, to your own future goals and ambitions for ministry. So in 1 page, tell me 3 ways that this reading could apply to your life and current or future ministry. So if you're doing a supervised ministry right now, then this would be a great chance to connect the dots. Or if you have a passion for a certain kind of ministry or something like that, you could connect that there. So speaker reviews are number 1, and there's 10 of those. Reading reviews are number 2. You'll have 3 of those. Then the third big thing that you will do this semester is you're gonna preach. You're gonna talk. That's what this class is ultimately about. You're gonna speak 3 times throughout the semester. Now, this is really important, so I want everyone to hear me say it, and I'll probably reiterate it next week. This is not America's Got Talent. I'm not showing up with my British accent and my V-neck to buzz you when you're not doing a good enough job. This is about your preparation and your personal growth. It's not even about your natural ability. Not everyone speaks on the same level. Not everyone is gifted naturally as a speaker, and that's absolutely okay. God doesn't use us based on our ability anyways, something that I'm very thankful for. But instead, he uses us because of who he is. So let's just get that straight right away, that we're not after any kind of perfection. This is you versus you. Yeah, it's only about your own growth and your own development. So think of these 3 preaching opportunities as opportunities to practice and to get better. You will present in groups. Now, let me clarify this, meaning your group will present on a certain day, but you'll be doing these messages individually by yourself. But I will assign you, and I'll send this out in an email to groups A, B, C, and D. And I might have actually already popped those in there, so we'll see that in a minute. But you'll be assigned to a group, and you'll present 3 sermons: a 5-minute one, a 10-minute one, and a 15-minute one. In addition to the standing up in front of the class and giving this presentation, you're also going to provide the following with each talk. You're going to do a prep paper. This has got to be turned in before you, or when you speak, excuse me. So the week that you're doing your presentation, you have to turn in this paper. It's going to answer the following questions: which story or passage or theme did I choose? Why did I choose it? What's one thing I discovered that I previously didn't know? What feedback did I receive? And what are 2 possible applications from the message? So those are the questions that you're going to answer. I think it says 6, and there's actually only 5. That's okay, but you're going to answer those questions in a 1-page single-space paper. So what this means is you're going to have to do your preparation a little bit in advance so you're able to write this paper. And in addition to the prep paper, you're going to record each of these 3 presentations. You're responsible for recording it, so having someone else in class using your cell phone or your laptop to just record it. The quality of the video doesn't matter because only you are going to be watching it. So you're going to record this, and then each time you present, you've got to watch your presentation back and type a 1-page single-space paper due the week after your presentation, answering the following 3 questions. What was the strength of my presentation? What was the weakness of my presentation? And what would I do differently? Now, if you've never had to watch yourself back, it's a horrible experience. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, but it's one of the only ways that we can actually see what everyone else sees when we speak. So just to recap that, you're going to speak 3 times, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You and your group will all go on the same night, but you will speak individually. You will have a prep paper that you'll turn in when you speak, and you will have a evaluation paper and recording that you will do for the week after you speak. And then the last assignment is a speaker interview. So you're going to pick a communicator that you admire. This can be your pastor, your youth pastor. This can be somebody at the college. My only requirement is that this should be someone who's in the trenches. This needs to be someone who's actually speaking on a regular basis. Schedule a time to interview them. Don't make the interview any longer than 30 minutes. Everybody's busy, so no need for that. And during the interview, you're going to ask them 5 questions that are listed here. Would you rather prepare a message or deliver a message? This is just trying to figure out which part of message prep or delivery they like better. What does an average week of preparation look like for you? How are you trying to grow as a communicator? What aspects of preaching give you the most joy? And who is a preacher that you admire? Now, you can modify those questions a little bit depending on who you're talking to. That's no problem. I'm not going to be a stickler on that, but that's a way to get you going in that assignment. So after that interview, you'll write a 2-page single-space paper explaining their answers, and include a paragraph at the beginning of that with just a little context about who they are and where they do ministry. So again, backing up, the assignments in this class are your speaker reviews, your reading reviews, your sermons with a prep paper, a recording, and an evaluation paper, and your speaker interview. So that's what we're going to be doing. There's no final exam for the class, and in the syllabus here you can see what each of those is worth and how we get to the point totals that we get to for the class, and what the grades look like as well. Also, you will see a calendar that tells you when the different assignments are due. So for instance, if you look at this calendar page, which is the one that looks like this, you will see that on the 14th, which is this coming Thursday, what we're going to be discussing, and also that you have a sermon review due, which means sometime before Thursday you need to listen to a message and type out your 1-page evaluation of, remember, not what they said, but how they said it and why you think it was effective. So that's the first assignment due. And then you also can see a list of the presentation group schedule. That's the page that looks like this. And next to your name, you are going to see 3 numbers. Those 3 numbers that are next to your name represent what length of message you will be giving each time you speak. So I'm going to pick Autumn Gunther because I know Autumn and she helps out at the hub. So Autumn, next to her name, it says 5, 10, and 15. So that one's easy. That means the first time Autumn speaks, it's going to be 5, the second time 10, third time 15. Lucas Powell, another guy who helps us out at Westwind, you'll see his says 10, 15, 5. That means he's going to speak for 10 minutes the first time, 15 the second, and then his third one is going to be the 5-minute presentation. Now, in class, we will go over a lot more about how those presentations are going to work exactly and what my expectations are for those things. So you don't need to worry about that at all for right now. And then the last couple things in your syllabus are a template for the speaker review. So if you just want to know how to evaluate the message you're going to listen to, really simple. In this one page, what I gave you was the good and the bad. So what did the speaker do that kept your attention or made their point? What made them easy to listen to? What did they do that distracted you? What about their presentation caused you to lose attention? What made them difficult to listen to? So talk about the good and the bad. Then you can talk about the intro and the conclusion. And then what was their main point in one sentence? Were they clear on what they were trying to do? What do you think their purpose was? And then what was one thing you'll take away from the presentation that will help you as a speaker? Again, you don't want to answer this question by saying, I'm really going to work on being more loving to the people around me who need it. That's about content, not about mechanics. A much better thing would be, as I develop as a speaker, I want to do a better job at starting my message with something that gets people's attention right away. So that's what we're looking for there. And then on the last page is just a little bit of information about me in case you're really bored and want to know more about what my life is like. Hey, listen, I'm really excited about this class. I think we're going to have an absolutely fantastic time on Thursday nights. Look forward to meeting those of you that I don't know this coming Thursday. And thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out to me on email, and I will get back to you right away. See you on Thursday.